What's up? What's up?
What's going on?
The three amigos.
Yes, sir.
Right
got
again.
More to say? You got kind of quiet on us, Chris. What's happening, man?
I was trying to get somebody to come in and be excited with me, but say the three amigos, then nothing. Like
Daryl was like, yeah, he kind of chuckled.
It wasn't a very excited yeah. It was like, yeah. Yeah.
What's that movie where your boy
I'm very happy to be here.
It's like, yeah, that's better.
Eddie Murphy
That's
movie,
better.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly, no, that was
You can't get in. You was crying like a baby. Yeah.
Was that Beverly Hills Cop or was that 48 hours?
48 hours. Yeah, that's what 48 hours.
Coming to America. That's what he was like. I am very happy to be here.
Yeah, you're right, Daryl. That's what he wants.
That's better.
Very happy to be here. That's what
That's
he wants.
better because we are happy to be here. We're happy to be here with y'all. Welcome to Local Musicians.
XP.
Hey, man.
Echo.
Well, I was trying to see who was going to do it first, man. Tyrone don't want to give up his spot, man. Don't want to give up his spot. So, but thank you guys. We are here for your audio. What?
It's like nobody's spot, man. I ain't doing
man.
Man.
Can we get some competition? I'm trying to get some competition, man. Competition. That's what's missing in the world today. Everybody's so nice and pleasant and cordial and pats on the back.
Why don't you say this? We are here for your audio and visual pleasure. You can say that.
Yeah, that's gonna be your line. You take that.
Your line. The deep voice.
You got the voice for it, man. You could be that late night. You got that late night voice, Daryl. Daryl got the late night.
Got the quiet night. You got the quiet storm.
Quiet storm
voice.
I've been thinking about it, man. I've been thinking about
it. Hey, Chris, my wife has a bone to pick with you, bro.
Okay.
Now you can see, if y'all can't see, I'm gonna show you right now. I'm rocking the Local Musicians.
Oh, I love it. Yes, sir. Yes.
My wife said, "How come you don't have a hat?" Because she saw a certain person that had a Local musician hat.
Yeah, the hat was a that was a prototype. They got the the prototype. Prototype, man. So but actually the hat actually turned out good. But man, the place that I went to get that stuff, I went back to try to, man, they're so expensive now. I'm like, man, I gotta find another source.
Tariffs got him, bro. The tariffs.
Tariffs got him, man.
Tariffs got him.
The shirt place at the mall, bro. The tariffs got him, man.
Tariffs got him, bro.
But listen, thank you guys for joining us. We're just having some fun. We are here for your audio and visual pleasure. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Set your notification bell so you know when we are live. And I believe after we got one more week, y'all, on Facebook, and then we are exclusively on YouTube starting the month of June. So thank you guys, because everybody mostly is turning in on YouTube now.
We got 2 people in the chat right now.
I love it, man. Yeah, man. So guys, we are going to be exclusively on YouTube, and we're gonna try to get this algorithm straight. And
I want you to wear that hat, bro. If the Knicks make it to
he's gonna wear it, man. We actually, matter of fact, we're gonna get to that in just a second. But YouTube exclusively only starting in June. So this will be the last couple of. We got one more Tuesday, right? Next week, is that right? Yeah, after Memorial Day, and then we will be on YouTube. So can I get a duly noted? Duly noted? Yes, duly noted.
Duly noted.
And yeah, man. So we had some great stuff going on. We had some jazz action at the airport, some rather interesting jazz action at the airport, if I do say so myself. But we won't go too deeply into that. But Tasia and I played with Kathleen Bergman and Kenny, and we had a couple of visitors, man. We had a couple of people that came out from the family that happened to live around the corner, and they came out, man, for the to hang out with us, man. That was Mr. and Mrs. Jackson came on out, man.
Came out there, bro.
Came on out. So and Mr. Jackson went to the barbershop at the airport, got cleaned up a little bit. I was trying to get my man styled right, but he didn't go for he didn't want to go for my design. My design was 4 parts on. Was it 5 parts on the side? I want 5 parts on the side. Shaved on the other side.
Oh man!
And then hit my man with a little tail in the back, man. That was my design, but he didn't kind of go for that, man. So
you ever had a family member, like a young family member, go rogue and get a haircut they're not supposed to get, bro?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, my little cousin came back with a martini glass in the back of his head. Boy,
wow.
Uncle and them ripped him to death. What you even know with a martini glass?
Man, you guys remember when the designs were hot, right? Yes. I mean, like cats was getting all the designs in their head, man. Woo, man. I had some friends that didn't go too well for. It didn't go too well for them.
Yeah,
my brother Dave got the Kid and Play high top fade one time. My grandmother said, "You cutting that down, baby."
How high was it?
Oh, it was high, bro. But my grandmother and mother was like, if y'all look too old, that means people gonna think we're old. We're like, why? How are they making that correlation? She's like, she used to say, shave those beards, went to mustache and everything. We're like, man, there's no way we're shaving our mustache, bro.
Oh yeah, it took a long time to grow that, man.
That's not happening, man.
I can see Daryl probably rocked the Gumby or something like that. He probably had to join that with
No, I never did. I had dreads in college.
Oh, yeah. You got to see a picture, bro. Got to get a picture.
I have an album cover with dreads, but my dad hated it, man. My dad, he just wasn't with it.
He wasn't with the dreads. That was rebellious at the time. That was a little bit too ethnic, man. That's too ethnic.
Yeah.
Hey, bro. Lamartina said he had a fro, bro.
Man, no way. I gotta see that. No, JL, I gotta see that one.
Oh, okay.
We need proof. Send to you. Man. Send to my phone, sir. If I want to see the fro. I want to see. We seen Falgoo had the coif. Falgoo had the full head of hair, man. The full black head of hair.
That's the West Bank special, bro.
The West Bank special. Podhorser had I call it the adult film director haircut for the 70s. It was nice and full with the designer, with the tight designer jeans on, man, and the shirt unbuttoned to the navel type of thing.
He had the photographic haircut, huh?
He had
oh my god!
He had the consummate New York film director haircut.
All he needed was a little ascot around his neck, man.
Man, come on!
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there he is. Look at him, sexy.
Bunch of dreads too.
Man, hold that. That's sexy right there, man. Let me see that sexy pic, man. Hold that.
Man, come on, man.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't that scream just me and my saxophone? That's just
what was hanging, man.
That's the neo soul revolution days.
Hey, bro, I gotta take some new joints, man. All of my pictures is looking far off into the sunset or something, bro.
I might have had one of you with hair when we first like early on. Not a whole lot of hair. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I had some back in the day.
Let's see. There's a video. If I wish I could find it of us. It's just your keyboard solo playing with Miss Fish at the Cotton Club. Did you ever see that? It was going around and I don't know I'll hit her up and see if she has it. But there
that was on that
is
01W, Korg 01W.
there's some foot, and it was a killing solo. And I was playing underneath you, man. It was super killing, man.
Okay.
And there's like video, and I don't want to say you're unrecognizable, but you look a lot different as I did back then.
I was probably
I'll see if I can find it and and show it to you, man.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, all right, guys. Well, I guess since we're doing pictures, let's do I want to know who wore it better, man. Before we get to the topic, we need to do a who wore it better, because the Knicks are in the finals, or in the what do you call it? The
Western Conference Finals.
the Western
Eastern Conference Finals. I'm sorry.
Eastern Conference Finals. So I was correct. Okay.
Mhm.
And so all the stars are coming out, man. And we got some Clyde Frazier action here, man. Clyde was known for his attire back in the day, and he's still looking fly, as you can tell. Got the hat on, but we got somebody else that we know that we want to see if they wore it better than Clyde. So if we can get the how about I'm getting that framed.
He looks so happy right there, doesn't he?
I mean,
Happy.
so we need a vote. Who wore it better, Clyde or Pod? Clyde or Pod? We need a
Pod. That's my vote.
Pod looking kind of. He's looking kind of.
Look like the lady licking her lips at little Pod right there.
I know that lady right there. His wife better look out.
He's digging on Pod, man.
Got some got an admirer right there. So
right.
So we'll take votes. We'll take votes. We'll take votes.
Everybody.
Vote in the chat. Who wore it better? Who wore it better? Pod or Clyde?
That's some great work right there.
All right.
Some great work.
All right, guys. Let's get to this topic, man. We're gonna go ahead and I want honesty tonight. Not that we gotta really. This is one that's been on my mind, and it hit me hard a couple of weeks ago. I saw something, and I was just like, wow. So I don't want to go into that too deep right now. I will, but did you guys ever play video games when you were young? I was a video game, Atari and television, all that. So you guys remember the video game called Pitfall? Harry. Yeah. Pitfall Harry. They call it Pitfall Harry. I used to wear that game out, man. I used to wear that game.
Ain't it? Activision, a game?
Activision, baby. Activision. I used to wear that game out. It's basically this cat just going through the jungle.
Right.
And he would have to jump over snakes and scorpions and
swing on a rope or something.
Yeah, he would swing over the tar pit, you know what I'm saying? And then these barrels would be all up, would be coming up on him, man. And then he would have to go down some stairs and go underground, and he'd go underground, and there'd be stuff after him down there.
Right.
So it's one of those classic games. Look at the Gators, got the jumping over the pond with the Gators, man, and you had to time it, right? You remember you had to time it where you had to kind of see which one would be closed. The mouth would be closed, because if they opened the mouth, you would die. So I kind of was thinking about this, man, and when I was using the word pitfall, I was like, you know what, learning music now is a lot like that game, because what happens when you chase content creation, which is what a lot of people do now. They try to learn from content creators, and there's no content creation is a real job. I'm not saying that it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of it's hours upon hours. There are people that are very, very good at that, but most good content creators are not professionals. in terms of they don't play for a living. Okay, there's a few. You have a few guys here and there that are good at both, but it's very rare because you don't have the time. If you're working or you're teaching, man, to be a real content creator, it's almost impossible. Trust me, I've tried. It's there's not enough hours in the day, and but there's a few cats that are good at both. But most cats that are content creators are not they're not playing with other musicians. They're simply giving you information. Okay, now I'm real curious to hear what you guys have to say about your own individual instruments, because on the drums, it is infinity with this stuff. It's infinity, man. And when I say infinity, I mean infinity, because every person in the world that it seems like plays the drums has a YouTube channel or something, and there's trying to give they call them these masterclass of, and all it is it's just it's information. And on the drums is so it's so tailored to what to styles. I mean, there is things that go, I mean, it's all one thing, but I guess when I say styles, it's like there's certain things that are not going to work depending on what style of music that you're playing. So, but the overwhelming thing that you see is the chops thing. Just chop. Everybody just chops for days, chops coming out the sky. It's like a chops coming out of a fire or a hose, a fire hose. That's the cats that play just endless notes, and that's what gets most of the hits. So, well, being led, the temptation, and I've been there, because you see something, you be like, "Ooh, I want to try that," and the next thing you know, you 2 or 3 days in on something, and you're like, "Wait a minute, I gotta work on this other thing. I'm behind now. Supposed to be working on this thing for a gig or working on this thing for a session or whatever. And I've been chasing this chop." So I'm real curious to hear what you guys have to say about your.
Well, Darryl, if you don't mind, can I start off first?
And the keyboard.
Right,
so
can I defend the content creators first?
Sure, you can. Okay. This is a free country. You can defend.
So, all right. With piano, and I'm supposed it's the same with other instruments, but with piano, it is very, very difficult. First of all, with I would say earlier era mixing to really figure out what's going on harmonic wise, right? And even with there's very few videos that you can really see what the piano player is playing at a time. Like saxophone player, you're standing in front, you can see guitar, especially you can see guitar a lot. So looking at that, I think the hardest thing about guitar is figuring out how they create their sounds, because they rarely take a picture of their pedal board, right? But with piano, it's your inability to have resources that tell you the exact voicing, or is the inability of your ear to hear exactly what's going on, because some things are buried. So content creators coming from a piano perspective is probably coming from the way we learn as piano players is somebody shows you something and say, hey, this is the voicing. And then you just kind of memorize that and learn it in all 12 keys, whatever. Because early on, there's no way you can hear all those notes unless you have perfect pitch, right? You have to start learning how voicings are constructed. And most times people are showing you voicings. So now if there's a person who's creating content, especially gospel music, right? It's like, hey, this passage is so sophisticated, I got to learn this song by Sunday morning, right? And I only have a limited time, like the McRib sandwich is only time for a limited time only, So I'm gonna have to, how can I get this? There's no way around it. I have to learn this chord. I have to learn these harmonies. I have to learn the chord progression.
Okay, but let me just stop you right there, because I'm gonna let you finish. But that's you're talking about learning something specific for the gig.
But I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that.
But I'm saying, I mean, I don't have a problem because just like you said, you might not have a lot of time to really check something out by ear.
What if I don't
or
have?
whatever.
Okay, so we talked about Herbie Hancock, right? And we showed the footage of Herbie Hancock. What if you don't have the ear to hear Herbie's solo, and you really?
Well, then but that's the point. So my
what if
point
you
is
want to learn how
that
to play actual proof, and you didn't see the video how to break it down?
But how did we learn before? This is kind of where I'm coming from.
That's my point. A lot of people didn't understand bebop, and they thought that it was an elitist type of music, so they shifted from bebop because they didn't understand how to create it. But if they had content creators now to show you how to play bebop, which they do, then there wouldn't be this big secret about bebop.
But you still don't have. But it's still. I think
what I'm saying is allowing people to play it who doesn't have the physical gifts or the digging mentality to put their ear.
Then they shouldn't be trying to play it.
What? Why? How can you dictate that if there's a technology that lets them play it?
Because my point is that if you don't want to do the work,
how expensive is it to find a good mechanic? You tell me I can't get a YouTube video because I'm not mechanically inclined. Well, I am a little bit.
That's not what I'm talking about, though.
But I'm just saying,
talking about
person they shouldn't be doing it because they can't do it the old school.
I didn't say they shouldn't be doing it. What I said was
rewind that tape, Falgu.
What I said, well, okay, I did say that, but what I said is if they don't want to do the work, okay, so let's say you get a mechanic, you still got to go do the work. He might be showing you what to do. But you still got to go out there to your car. You got to take this screw off, and you got to take this thing off, and it's still work, right?
But if you don't know how to do it, like if you don't know how to open up the compartment or get the tool, somebody's showing you how to do it. But
my thing is, if I'm gonna be a mechanic, I'm supposed to go to mechanic school, not learn off of YouTube. Right?
Or you supposed to pick it apart yourself and figure out how it works. You could do that too.
That's how, I mean, the cats that I used to know that work on cars, man, that was almost like a natural. They just kind of knew, but they worked at it. It was trial and error, just like everything else, right?
What's wrong with a person getting a shortcut like that?
Well, if it's you, because you paid your dues. But if you are not trying to put the work in on something, which is kind of my whole point. We're gonna let Daryl talk here in a second because we've been dominating this. But if you're not putting the work in, you're not going to get the results. So
George Cable showed me something that opened up a whole thing for me. I couldn't hear it at first, but when George Cables wrote it out for me,
were you serious about what you was doing? This is my point.
I was
okay.
I was in Europe,
but okay. So this is my point.
I could not hear it. I was still serious.
But that's cool. But what I'm saying is you were still serious. This is what you wanted to do for your life, right?
It didn't have to be, though. If somebody illuminated something by giving me something, that's fine. I don't see a problem with that.
All right, Daryl, we're gonna let you chime in. I want to hear your 2 cents.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking about it because, like, when it comes to content creators, like with saxophone, like that's starting to be a thing now. I think, like, I've seen some cats that have had channels on YouTube for a while, and it's just kind of like I never really got into them, but now I'm starting to see like a lot of commercials for like these pattern books, and that we talked about about that, but just going back into the whole, like, I'm seeing bebop etudes, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty interesting to me, because I never, an etude to me was like a transcribed solo. So it's like I would go and play a transcribed solo, but the real work to me is just, it's like, okay, like at a certain point, how do I go from playing a transcribed solo to playing a solo that somebody else will transcribe? Like, how do I get to that place to where I'm producing? And for me, like, that has been a journey. And I mean, just the idea of going back to, you know, not just content creators, but a lot of people that have put out these video sessions where they're just going through 2-5-1 licks, or going through I don't know, sidestepping licks, going, you know, like 12 tone licks, you know, just all of that stuff is, you know, that can help you to develop facility, but to actually create and be a creator of, and not just create solos, but be able to synthesize. Like, that's the thing. One of the greatest things when I went to Jackson State, Paul Adams pulled me aside. He was one of the professors at Jackson State at the time, and he told me about Bloom's taxonomy.
Yeah.
And he taught, you know, and I had heard about it in class before. I even heard about it in high school, but I didn't make the connection to music. Right. And you know, and once he told me, he was just like, he was like, you have the knowledge, and you have the comprehension, and you have the application. Yeah. But he was like, but you got to get to the point of analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. And that's what kind of set me on the different path towards, okay, me just understanding how to learn, understanding the stages of learning, and understanding where I am, and finally getting to a point where it's just like, okay, this is no longer Charlie Parker, this is me, you know.
Right.
And so when it comes to the shortcuts that I see a lot of these days, it's just kind of like, it's almost kind of gimmicky. I will say that, like, unless you really have somebody to guide you through the process and teach you, I've seen a lot of stuff that's kind of like, that's not really gonna lead you to the promised land, you know. Just when it comes to just, again, learning licks and not really understanding, not understanding the like, now I'm at a place where, like, when I look at someone solo, I'm breaking it down in groups and phrases, you know, groups of notes. It's like, okay, right here he was doing a blues lick. Then right here he was doing kind of like a standard bebop lick. Then right here he quoted somebody. He quoted a song, you know. Okay, and then right here he's mainly focused on triplets. Now he's moving into eighth note. You know, I'm able to see and just break down the development of someone's solo and really get inside their head and thinking, you know, and thinking that, how would I do that? How, like, what lick would I play instead of this? What would I naturally do, you know, in terms of blues?
But here's the problem, Daryl. Since you mentioned Bloom's taxonomy, I'd like to piggyback off that, because I think Chris wants to get to the creative part where you synthesize it. But I think Chris's problem is that people start off with the stage of learning the lick or remembering, and then going straight to application, and that's it. There's no analysis.
Right.
There's no evaluation process. There's no synthesis. There's no originality. So I think that is what Chris's problem. Chris, you could probably interject, but I think Chris's problem is that they don't fully see the move through. And I think now the problem with content creation is that people just take the application. There's no analysis. There's no figuring out context where this stuff belongs, right? And so if there's no context and there's no analysis and there's no synthesis and there's no creation or being yourself from it, then all you have is just redundancy. It's just like, I'm just regurgitating what I learned from somebody else. Do you think that's the problem, Chris, with what you're thinking with content creation?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to put it. Because my concern is that, you know, you're not learning how to play music. You're learning how to regurgitate, quote unquote, something technical, right? Which has zero to do with playing with other musicians. Now, I always say this: if your goal, you know, just speaking from the drums, if your goal is to be what we used to call the clinic drummer, which was the guy there would used to be these guys, they would do drum clinics. They didn't play in no band, they didn't play on any records, they didn't do no tour. All they did was do drum clinic. This is a real thing. And they would go city to city, they would find, you know, drum stores or music stores, and they would bring these guys in because they were quote unquote very fluid on the drums. They could do all of this crazy stuff, but it didn't really have any real like musical but it was fun to watch, right? As an individual, it was fun to watch. So, and there's all the guys they would just call clinicians. There were guitar. Usually it was a lot of drummers and drums and guitar. I mean, some bass too, but drums and guitar were hot, man. Clinics. Oh yeah, man. This cat's gonna do, you know, the clinic cat. We used to call them the clinic guys. Now, if that's your goal, then have at it, man. You could learn every lick in the book and just stack stuff. Double bass, learn all the polyrhythm, learn all that stuff. But my thing is, the young guys are trying to take from just learning from the YouTube stuff, and then they try to take that to the stage, and that's where the crash and burn. We've seen it, man. How many times have we seen the crash and burn because they don't understand anything about how to play a tune or play a song? I just saw a really good video with great drummer Ulysses Owens Jr., bad dude. And he was like, man, he said that most cats that he encounters that want to learn how to play jazz, they might watch my videos or they listen to a track, but they haven't listened to any albums or the body of work from a specific drummer, whether it's Philly Joe Jones or Max Roach or Elvin or whoever that is. They just listen to one track, or they've heard snippets of different people, and then they think that they can do it based on that. That's where I'm coming from, and that's where I think the pitfall is.
Well, for you to title something the pitfalls of learning from content creators, there we go, right there. That's Benjamin Bloom, right? I think this was, if I recall, 1950 something that he came up with this taxonomy. And actually, by the way, they added the ing to it because it used to be remember, understand, apply, analyze.
Oh, okay.
But they came back and put the ing because it's an ongoing process, and sometimes the steps cannot be in order. That's I learned from doctoral school.
Yeah.
So, but so the pitfalls, if I get you right, is maybe doing remembering and applying, but not understanding, analysis, evaluating, creating. Is that would you was that a fair assessment, Chris?
Yeah.
And Daryl,
yeah. I would say the biggest one is remembering. It's just copying. Well, does that fit under remembering? Is copying?
Copying.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And recall. But I think that Daryl, Daryl, you, me, and Chris probably understand those other stages and the importance to get to us, to ourselves. Like the top of that pyramid is the creating part, right?
Right.
So we're going to use all those steps to get to that. I think that what Chris is saying, what I've recognized is that the younger generation, for the most part, and the audience don't understand those other steps, that they just listen for a person doing something, right? And it's not necessary. We see it in everything. We see it in sports. Basketball players now got coaches, individual coaches to show them move. And you're like,
right.
Well, but we know that when people first learn when Charlie Parker was coming out with this new style called bebop, cats would go to his show and then run to the jam session and try out what they heard. And that period of not perfect recall end up creating something else. Like you're playing what you thought you heard is
absolutely
more creative and better than absolutely what was in there.
Right. Because that's how you get to yourself.
Right, exactly.
you know.
Yeah.
But this,
you get to yourself. That's an important point.
Right.
Get to yourself.
Because
I don't think cats are worried about getting to themselves.
no, they're not. That's why everything sounds the same. And I'm not one of these guys that doesn't think that there's cool new music out there. But when you listen to the masses, man, it's just like it's verbatim, which was, we've talked about this in the past show, which was what cats used to call biting. Man, you biting my stuff, even in pop music from the 50s to the 60s. There might have been a sound that was identifiable for that period, in the 70s or the 80s, but people had their own identity with it. Now, some people obviously there's always going to be copycats out there, but when you think about the difference between, let's take an 80s, somebody in the 80s, let's take an artist, a group like the Police, okay, who we all love and who did some incredible stuff in the 80s. Big difference between what the Police were doing and what Prince was doing. Or you can just go down the line of, even though they're using some of the same sounds.
Okay.
A lot of the same sounds.
What style of music were the Police heavily influenced by?
Reggae. Yeah.
So people could think that they're biting off of reggae musicians.
But they found their own way to apply it. That's a really good. So that's a really good point, because it's not pure reggae what they were playing. Right, it's their own version of that. It's their own version of that, right? Which is the beauty of what people kind of used to do. It's like when Michelle Ndegeocello hit, she was a go-go. She was playing in go-go bands in the night, and then she found her sound through the go-go stuff. So her first two records were highly influenced by go-go, but then look at the metamorphosis of everything that came after that. Is you're going to start somewhere, and you may even copy. I think as jazz musicians, that's some of the greatest wisdom that we can give somebody is, man, find your muse, right? Find your muse. If it's going to be Kenny Garrett, or if it's going to be Herbie, or if it's going to be Tony Williams. Okay, start there, but
you'll
then
never be able to out Tony Williams, and you never be able
exactly.
to out Herbie,
but I can but you can use that as a template to find
exactly.
That's kind of what I'm talking about.
The important thing is be yourself. You don't have to be yourself anyway, right?
Right, but if all you're doing is copying what somebody who does it, who is really not in the game, is saying, that's my point, is if you're copying verbatim what somebody else is telling you about somebody else. Oh, this is a Herbie Hancock lick from Butterfly or whatever. It's like, well, okay, maybe, but maybe if you heard that same lick, you might hear it a different way if you went and listened to it, right?
Right.
So that's kind of like what I'm coming from.
You know what I learned on the Food Network is that it's hard to copyright a recipe, because if you add one more, you could follow the recipe verbatim, and as long as you change up one thing or add one thing to the recipe, it becomes yours.
Right.
So in essence, we have people right now are just copying verbatim the recipe, and they're not changing or adding anything to it to say it's their own, at least. But I think my biggest problem with the content creators, that some of the content creators are not real players, and they don't know, they're giving erroneous information. That's my problem with content creators. It's like, and then I'm curious to see what you guys think about Barry Harris videos, which have been circulating around, which I think is excellent teaching. But I try to tell my students, when you study with the approach of studying a mentor, you are dealing with their philosophy, the way they see things, right? And so Barry Harris has a way of playing. McCoy Tyner has a different way of playing. His philosophy may be different, I find now with Barry Harris that everybody is just going to that. That's the end all be all. And I'm like, that's just one philosophy. You know, Tommy Flanagan had a similar philosophy, but his playing was a little bit different. So if you went to the school of Tommy Flanagan, I think it's like, studying martial arts. You know, if you went to the Shaolin school, you're gonna do that. If you're gonna go to do jujitsu or Jeet Kune Do, that's a different
Mhm,
style. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
So let's just see which style is better, and it's the same thing. I mean, with Sonny Rollins and Daryl, didn't Sonny Rollins and Coltrane get together? But somehow their sounds didn't rub off on each other. They were still their own individuals, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like back then, I think it was just like the beginning of hip hop too. The
Right.
beginning of bebop, it was much more about trying to find your own sound.
Right.
Which is why Train was practicing so hard, because it's like, okay, we understand what Bird is doing now. We've been studying that for like 5-10 years. Now, where do we find our own thing? Because, otherwise we're just gonna be just practicing Bird for the rest of our lives, and everybody's trying to sound like Bird.
Right.
That's what I feel like really happened, with the guys that got it, that got like, okay, I gotta find a departure from this. Like Eric Dolphy didn't sound like Bird to me. Like he eventually, I mean, you can tell that he has some of that there, but you can tell Eric Dolphy was searching for another type of thing, so he just wouldn't sound. I feel like that's what those cats were practicing so hard
Right.
for, to get their own thing, or to find that, their own sound. There was like a discussion in the jazz Reddit, the subreddit, about Charlie Parker versus Cannonball Adderley, because basically it was like this guy said that a teacher of his basically said that Cannonball was a poor man's Bird, right?
What?
Yeah, he said it was a poor man's Bird, and I think I think it came out of like the fact that whoever, this person was looking at Charlie Parker, like Charlie Parker was the guy who came up with bebop, and he had like a kind of New York sophisticated style that he had going on, and a lot of cats were copying that. And then here comes Cannonball with this country, like he's from the South, he has this country sound, and these country people are responding to it more. It was just kind of almost like a class thing, that separated. But I'm just like, hey, like, what did you want? Like, Cannonball came into the picture and took what Bird did, but then kind of like synthesized it into a whole other thing that when you hear Cannonball, that's Cannonball.
Right.
You don't think that's Bird. Cannonball as soon as you hear him. And to me, it's like, well, that's the point. That's what it was all about. Like he did that. Whereas there are a lot of guys that stuck close to Bird, so close to Bird that it's like you had to wonder, is that Bird? Like that kind of thing. So I feel like at a certain point in the beginning, it was about trying to, find your own voice. And then later, as time moved on, it's like you got this thing where you got to go through the lineage. And so the lineage is going to make you sound like somebody for a while. But then who's really guiding you to say, like, now, okay, figure out your own voice. Now that you got the basics down from the creators of this, now you got to find your own voice. And I think Miles Davis, that quote that he said, "Don't play what's there, play what's not there." I first thought that was like, okay, well, that's like I'm taking a solo, but now I realize
How did you want
what he was talking about.
I'm taking up all the space. I'm playing. Yeah, they ain't gonna hear no space at all.
That's not supposed to be.
But what I think he was also saying was like, look at what's out there, see who's doing what, and find something that you can do that nobody else is doing. And try to take it to a new place, and there's plenty of possibilities that you can build a new personality off of, I think. but that's just not what's taught because it's just so oriented towards you got to be able like the New York sound. Like a lot of saxophonists got that Mark Turner thing going on, and it's like it used to be where it's like, yeah, everybody's trying to sound like Kenny Garrett, but then it's like all of a sudden, like everybody is kind of reminiscent of like Mark Turner, and I'm like, okay, that's cool,
Man.
but
Mark Turner Mark Turner, man, that was an epidemic, wasn't it? And nothing against Mark Turner. I mean, he was incredible, but good Lord, I remember.
But it's just like, yeah, like just, I mean, I feel like that's still going on, like. You know,
it's good with guitar, especially, man. It's
Kurt Rosenwinkel.
It is, man. All these cats sound.
Corey Wong.
Oh, let's come on now. We're gonna stop the show. We had to mention that name. Some of the, but it's, Galad. What's the cats? And these are incredible guys. I mean, nothing against them, but man, it's like, it's kind of like the. When these are all like post Kurt Rosenwinkel guys. Like Rosenwinkel opened that door using the solid body guitar and the effects and stuff. Pat Metheny, really, but Rosenwinkel.
Pat Metheny for
right. But man,
the Schofield clones. Remember the Schofield clones came out after that?
But you can't. But the thing about Sco, you can't, man. That's you talk about a cat that has his own voice, man. Yeah. So how do you guys, what's the key? Because it's not going anywhere. It's content creation. This stuff is here. It's powerful. It's easy to get to. You ain't got to listen to no records. You ain't got to listen, all you got to do is go to suchandsuch.com or whatever YouTube channel. So maybe there's some guys out there that want to break away, but they can't. I just think it's just an individual. You have to like go deep inside yourself, and like you have to be willing, and this is something that I said you have to be willing to sound bad to find yourself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to go on stage and turn the beat around. Can you do that? Because, Can
you do that with people taking their cell phones out and recording?
I mean, that's the I guess the dilemma that we live in. Yeah.
I mean, that's
right.
If you had a session where it's like, man, no cameras allowed, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like the hardest thing is now that we want people to sound good so fast, so quickly, and these kids, we put them through a 4-year school and say, okay, at the end of 4 years, you can solo. I mean, it takes longer time. It's just the investment, even in hip hop, man. Them cats were like studying and.
Well, not only they were studying, but they were playing
a record collection, bro.
But they were also playing gigs at 16, man. These guys aren't. They don't. I mean, obviously, they don't really have the places to do that anymore.
Right. We don't have a lot of gigs, but there's a lot of garages still open.
I agree with that.
You can go.
I tell them all the time, man. Y'all need to get somewhere and just work on tunes, whatever y'all want to work on, but just get somewhere. And work on tunes from all genres, whatever y'all playing, but work on tunes. You're right about that. Were you gonna say, Daryl?
Yeah, I was just saying, I just think the culture just of, like in hip hop in the late 80s, like it was not a thing for you to sound like somebody else. Like that was when it was just like serious, like you biting off of this person, you biting off that person.
Right.
And I mean, like to me, like, I know I've had my periods of studying somebody. It was just like, okay, I'm starting to sound like this person, but that's just a part of like the development as far as I'm concerned, because it's like, I know like I have an end game in terms of where I'm going with it. And when I get to my end game, I'm thinking like I'm not going to be a clone of anybody. It's just, I'm gonna sound like myself, so that's kind of like where I am. And I know you just have to, like you said, it takes a long time. It's just not something that you can just necessarily, it might take a very long time before you get to a place where it's just like, aha, I have, that eureka moment where you start to understand, like, okay, this is what's going to differentiate me from all of these other things. And no, instead of doing this way, I'm going to go the opposite direction and do that, and develop that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I was listening to a lot of bebop saxophonists that I really haven't listened to, like, just I'm talking about historical bebop saxophonists. I can't really, I have to pull up the list, but I was just trying to listen to them and just take notice of, like, how are they different from Bert? Like, how is this person right here? And it would be like, this person starts his phrases and ends his phrases in a very distinct way that's repetitious. So I can immediately tell when I'm listening to this person versus, somebody that person, I can barely tell that that's not Bert, that kind of thing. Like, and I think the players have to be taught who's teaching how to go out there, take an assessment of what's going on, and figure out what you can do that nobody else is doing. Like, who's teaching that?
But do you think that's a priority now? I mean, in general, because, like, you look at car designs, most cars look very similar now. I remember when you could tell where a cat was from just by their playing. Like, New Orleans drummers sound a certain way. New York cats had their thing. Minneapolis people had their thing. Atlanta had this thing. Now it's like so homogenized that everybody kind of sounds so similar.
I was thinking about that the other day too, man. I was thinking about that.
Like, and I think that's kind of like, the disco of today, like, where it's just all everybody piling on this super popular vibe that's going on right now. But, like, how long is that gonna last in the picture? Like, it's become fashionable to all be doing the same thing. Like, especially like in hip hop, it's like, a lot of cats are just running after whatever is the latest little sound that they're using, whatever sound effect or whatever new 808, the 808 combined with the kick. Okay, we got to get that sound because we got to stay on, and you can see, like, the lineage in, like, the last 10, 15 years in hip hop, where everybody's just kind of copying whatever is trending so they can all be relevant.
Cats used to hide that stuff. Marley Marl and them had their own samples, and I can't remember what group, they left their drum samples at the studio, and the rival group got them. I can't think. I got to pull that story up. But yeah, they used to hide stuff, man. You used to hide all your setup and everything like that because it made up your sound and stuff, especially in hip hop.
Check out this comment from Tasia. Look what she says.
Right.
This is 15 minutes ago. She put that in there, but
piggybacking off the current working formula in quotes these days, just hopping on the wave. And I agree with it because the industry and the mindset is that's fine. I think our mindset, or the mindset now, is we don't have to worry about being unique or original. This is formulaic society.
And no mistakes. If you listen to records, man, it's rare that you hear something that, is either a little bit off or something's. So I had an interesting, so I'm mixing a single right now for this organ. Hush up, man. Hush up.
Doing something with
what I'm doing. So I'm mixing this single. So I send something that a mix of another group that I like to my engineer Jeff Bako. Shout out to Jeff. And I said, man, check this out. Do you think we can kind of get them do something similar to this mix, man. So, and I wasn't even thinking about this, right? I heard the tune. I liked the way it sounded, yada yada yada. He comes back, he goes, man, these are all drum samples. And I said, what you mean? He's like, yeah, they just said that the snare is listen to the snare drum. It's the same every single time. He said, that's impossible. He said, listen to it. And I went back and listened to it, and I was like, damn.
But if you want to get that sound, though, you got to do is,
But I don't want that. That's the
programming is a different thing.
Well, but I'm talking about like it's not it's the cat was playing.
No.
But what they did,
I mean programming from a radio standpoint.
Oh, right. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Exactly. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Because you're right. Go ahead,
I'm just saying, to me, it was a sad situation because I remember a time when music was much more versatile, but at the same time, it all fit together. Like you could listen to a playlist. You can listen to the radio back in the day, and the songs would, you like, because I grew up on hip hop. Like you could have there was a lot of variety in hip hop in the late 80s. It wasn't just one thing. It was a lot of variety, and it was a lot of discovery because people were like really digging into records and trying to find something that nobody else was using.
And that's what David Frazier is saying in this comment right here, that we used to listen for inspiration and how you feel the sound. That whatever you're going to listen to is going to be inspiring, and it should affect you. Where what I'm saying?
Do y'all remember? And Daryl, this probably plays into what you're talking about. I'm gonna let you continue here. I just wanted to bring up, man, when Fear of a Black Planet came out, man. And they released Fight the Power first because it was in the movie. It was in Do the Right Thing. Man, that I had never, and I had listened to every James Brown, I was into hip hop. I was listening to a lot of Eric B. and Rakim. I was into Public Enemy already. Takes a Nation of Millions to hold them back. I loved it. But when that hit, man, I was like, man, these cats this is like some other.
Well, what about Tribe Called Quest de la Soul?
Different thing. But I'm just saying, like a moment for me was when Fight the Power, man. That was like, wow, man. But go ahead, Darren.
And see, like, what I like about that, like Chuck D, the spirit of what he was doing was rebellious against trying to fit in with what was going on. And that's to me, that to me is the courage that needs to come back into the scene, where it's like, I'm going to purposely not follow what else is going on because, like that stuff, you got to realize when it gets stale. We've been riding this wave for 20 years, and maybe it's time to find something else or do something else or flip it in another way, where we can come up with something different.
But how are they going to do? If they don't listen, if they don't have any real knowledge of music and how music works, it's different. All the cats that were producers back man, they were listening to everything. They were astute. Listen, they might not have been players per se, but man, they were serious about music and about listening to all different styles of music. That's why they could pull crazy samples from all different directions, man. That would just mess your head up.
Yeah, you guys are y'all forgetting that y'all were this young generation too, and that the old heads were saying basically other things about us because of our improvements in technology and the skill sets that we have that's not like theirs. Come on, we can't hold a candle to the generation above us what they were doing musically. I'm just being real. Some of the stuff they were doing with less technology, we can't hold a candle to them. And so we're asking another generation who has improvements in technology to do what we did is impossible.
I encourage you, sir, to go talk to the older generation of older than the cats in their 70s and ask them about what's going on now with music.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that what is lost in translation is that because of less technology, they had to work harder and understand at a level that far surpassed what we did. And so I'm not saying, look, the evolution of music is always going to have a starting point and it's going to get better. Once you get to a crest, right? At some point, there's going to be a rebellion against complexity, right? And you find something else. But everything is going to stall out at some point or another. The things that we deem the height of music is got to get down to a level. There are people now that we don't hear about that's really being innovative. And my brother told me this. He said, "Hey, man, in the NBA, the 3-point ball is king right now." He said, "But there's some kid right now that's looking at some old footage of Wilt Chamberlain and George Miroslav and is going to be a center that's going to bring back." It's already happening because some of the top draft picks were big men this year, right? And so it's going to return back to that style of play. We just got to weather the storm. Like this generation, we have some good people. Like I really respect Michael Mayo. He is a really killing musician and a vocalist, and he's changing the game for younger people. But what I'm saying is, it's going to take a while for that thing to come back around and cycle where people are going to get tired of sounding like each other. You remember when Berkeley had his heyday? You could tell every saxophone player and every guitar player that came out of Berkeley.
Drummers too.
And now we're getting out of that. It's going to come back around. There's a lot of pitfalls to it, but it's going to come back around. It's got to, because the evolution of music dictates that you got to get to a crest and then it's going to fall off. You're going to reject it. You know, it's got to happen.
Well, I think that everything is so accessible now that, you know, because the dream back in the day, it was some type of software where cats didn't have to record the tape, try to cut the tape up. You gotta hit every. So Pro Tools is born.
Tuning? What happened to drum tuning?
So Pro Tools is born, and if you talk to every engineer, every producer from the 70s, they were all like, "This is my dream, is Pro Tools. Now I have unlimited tracks to record, yada yada yada. I don't have to worry about, you know, putting 3 different things on one track and then trying to mix the thing at the end. I don't have to do all of that, right? So I don't think it's necessarily technology that dumbs down the music. I think it's just I think it's a lack of awareness of learning the instrument. And I'm not saying learning it how, I'm not saying you got to go back to 1925 and you don't have any,
I think
that's not what I'm saying.
It opens the door for people who are less competent.
Correct. That's correct.
What it does.
That is correct.
For anybody to get in.
Anybody to get in.
Yeah.
Correct. So, and especially when you talk about specific instruments, like some instruments can't really, they can't be perpetrated that much. Like you can't really perpetrate on the drums that much. You're gonna get to a point to where, you're gonna get found out. Like there's a lot of instruments like that, but vocals, I would say, is one right now because there's so many aids for vocals in terms of, Daryl's shaking his head already. I think that's really the big one to me is,
No,
it's like, wow.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just gonna say,
Go ahead.
There's a channel on YouTube where this guy, he like investigates audio. I can't remember the name of it, but he investigates the waveforms, and he can tell when somebody has been using like auto-tune.
Auto-tune,
he
and
really
stuff like
goes
that.
and analyzes stuff, and it's just like he was talking about some of these idol shows, these American, those kind of shows where like you're thinking that that's them singing, but like they're going in and doing post-production and adding auto-tune to some of those singers,
Right.
and in some cases doing it in real time.
Yes,
and it's
I was
just
about
like,
to say that.
And he compares it to like older singers, like Whitney Houston. It was like, okay, this is Whitney Houston. This is no auto-tune. This is real singing. But then this is this kind of, thing where everything is perfect, and this is the sound that we're getting used to these days. And maybe what you're saying, like at a certain point, everybody's gonna get tired of that, because like everybody starts to find out like, no, this is not the real thing. And we tend to always want to go back to like, at a certain point, stop with the artificial thing, give me the organic, the real thing. So maybe it's just waiting for a reaction. Like I know disco in that period, Chuck D said they got tired of hearing that stuff, that same
but it
vibe,
didn't
and
last.
they wanted,
but disco was only lasted for
like
we're really
years.
talking about like maybe 5 years.
Oh, it didn't come back.
Really,
as
3 years.
It didn't come back as house music.
It did, but
yeah, and disco. I mean, disco, man, got such a bad. I mean, we should have a show on that, because actually Lamar Clay and I talked a lot about. There's a lot of killing disco stuff, man. It was when the Pat Boones and it was all these other people that jumped on the sound that made it just. That made everybody start to climb a wall about it. It wasn't the actual art form in its pure form. That's not the
epitome of copycat formula. I don't know what is.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
And so there was a reaction like with Public Enemy, like those cats formed a band out of turntables. Like they were all in the room. They had like 4 or 5 turntables, and each person had a part. One person had the drums, one person had the bass line. They were, using record, and that was just, something that had never been done before. It was just because of the technology, they came up with a creative spin on it,
right?
And created those records. But like they did the digging and trying to find, those sounds, those different types of sounds, those different breaks and everything, and coming with something that nobody was doing. I mean, like Run DMC was like 85, and then Public Enemy was like 87, 88. Like that was that's a vast difference in terms
of LL right after that.
Production.
Right.
LL was totally different, right? But you said something, Daryl, because you can even see some rappers even changed up their originals, like KRS-One. When he started getting to the reggae kind of stuff, rapping too, and then Busta Rhymes when he was with leader of the New School, and Chuck D actually helped give Busta Rhymes his name, because there was a football player named Buster something. He's like, man, that name fits you, Busta Rhymes.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that was a great interview about that, because Chuck D was like helping produce and helping get these guys, set up and stuff. So that originality, I mean, Gangstar had a different voice than and I remember
what was crazy?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Cypress Hill.
Yes.
The dude, the lead, that's not even his voice. He doesn't even talk like that. But he said they were in the studio and he was just sawed off shotgun, hand on the putt, like to make a loud pitch voice.
Right.
His voice is deep. But it's like they actually like, what I'm saying? He changed his voice, made a high pitched voice because he wanted something that sounded quirky and
right.
But that's like that's creative to me. Like I'm like, that's crazy,
Yeah.
So like just I feel like that was an era where it was the president was, we got to be original. You can't come to the table biting off with the next person. You have to come with your own thing. And that kind of morphed in over the years, but give it about 30 years. Now everybody's trying to do the same thing. and we just need that reaction to this period where it's just like, okay, let's disperse and everybody go back to trying to, come up with something new, because
I'll tell you what
ridiculous.
I'll tell you what would blow it up is if people stop putting their music on streaming sites, man. And that would change. But you just said though, didn't you just say something's got to come? But you're gonna have to have something drastic like that.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Because if something drastic like that doesn't happen, it's gonna stay status quo, man. Because there's too many people that are comfortable not having to do nothing and can just piggyback off of what. Because if it was back to originality and you got to be hardcore, you got to be good, man. Come on, most of these people couldn't even hang with that, man.
Well,
they couldn't hang.
Ask a question. And Chris, maybe you can start us off with this one. So, content creation is here for the foreseeable future, right? So, how would you provide a solution for up and coming musicians to deal with content creation? What would be your solution for this? Because you have the pitfalls, but we haven't talked about the really good things with it. But how would you use content creation for this next generation of musicians?
Yeah, I would say that the number one goal is to have a good teacher first and foremost. Because if you have a good teacher, there's going to be a foundation laid there of just the basics. You know me, man, I'm brilliant in the basics. I'm a big fan of, let's see how many ways we can twist these basics up, man, because it goes a long way sticking with the basics. But
so you would use that with content creation?
I would say but I'm just saying that if you're really serious about trying to learn how to play music, the first goal is get a good teacher. Don't think that you don't need a teacher. Don't think that you can just, okay. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is find other people your age that are playing as well, and y'all get together and figure it out and try to figure, okay, we're gonna learn this song. Okay, you got to play this part? I got to play this part. So you figure out how the parts work. That, I mean, just like you hit it on the head, T, with the garage bands, man. Everybody had a garage band. Mm-hmm. You 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. You're not worried about a gig. You're not worried about, you guys are just rehearsing to rehearse. You're just working on whatever it is that you're working on. Mm-hmm. But man, think about how many hours and the muscle that built, so you understand already how to communicate with other musicians. Okay, I can't step on this cat's part because it's doing this. That's the way it is, no matter how high up you go. You know what I mean? Right. So you're learning those real true fundamentals, and then you find a muse for yourself. Okay, who do I want to sound like? Right. And then through that, you're going to find yourself. And then what happens is, like, there's certain content that I like, but what they're doing, it kind of fits what I do. So when I look at an idea, or if I hear something that they're doing, I'm like, man, that I might can check that out. I might can work on something like that because it already kind of fits inside what I'm doing. You can't just chase and be, one day I'm going to work on, I'm going to do this. And next day I'm going to do, you're not using any building blocks. So that would be what I would say, what my opinion is. What about you guys?
Yeah. Well, I'm just like, when I first started really trying to be serious about learning, like jazz, for instance, I was just buying CDs left and right back in the day. And I think I amassed like a collection of like 400 CDs. But the thing was, I never like zeroed in on one of them and just studied one. Mm-hmm. Just, like somebody, mm-hmm. It was more of a thing. It was just kind of like a la carte thing, just picking out stuff from different things that I heard. And that's like cool, that. But at a certain point, you got to zero in and hone in on something, like, study somebody that okay, it's like, okay, this person is who I'm really feeling. This kind of resonates with me. So I'm gonna really get inside what they're doing, and I'm just gonna stay stuck here. Like I listen to all the other stuff, just for my pleasure and just to fill my ear with the sound. But I want to study what this person is doing. And then, okay, move on to somebody else. And now I'm going to study this person. So now you can say, I really, really, really for real studied this person. Like when I first met Alvin Fielder, I I was just like, yeah, man, I've been studying Charlie Clark. He was like, not really. You know, like
You sound like him too.
Yeah, he straight up told me, he was just like, nah, not really. But then like when I really got around him and he had like all those Bird records and was just, telling that this dude knew the day that they recorded the session, like he was really like in depth with that stuff and really could tell you why Bird ended up doing this and what led to that. So it's like really getting inside, the person, not just kind of studying like a transcription or two and then thinking, okay, I got it. I can do it. It's like, no, can you do it? Like, can you be the Bird? Can you go and play something right now that's totally you and that people are gonna be like, dang, that's crazy. I wanna see what he's doing. And when you realize that you can't do that, then you realize I got a lot of work to do. Like I really got a lot of work to do in order to really reach that true level where I'm on that level as some of these masters are. And I think that's what a lot of cats got to realize. Like you can study and listen to a lot of music and just have it constantly in your head, but if you don't really focus and go through that Bloom's taxonomy regimen of going from level to level to level until you finally reach that true synthesis phase. I mean, you just kind of playing around. That's the way I'm. What do you think?
I would say I agree with all you guys. I would like to add though, the content creation lends itself to being like a karate exhibition where I could break boards I could break 14 boards and then I can twirl around these nunchucks this fast and stuff like that, right? And then but all in all, you want to see if they could fight, right? You're like, can you fight though? And then when they face a real boxer, like I've seen boxers versus karate people, when they face a real fighter, they get beat up rather quickly. And I think we can make a parallel to music too. We got these people who can play 15,000 paradiddles at 320 beats per minute, but they can't hold a groove all of a sudden. And so my thing is to synthesize what you guys are saying. I would say, look, you absolutely have to start off with something you like first. You have to absolutely say, oh, I like this, and learn it. And if you're going to use social media to learn those things, yes. But let's change your goal by saying, I like that. I'm going to figure out, I'm going to analyze it and say, why does that make me feel a certain way? What resonates with me with that makes me gravitate toward that? Then a good teacher is going to come along. Like my teacher said, Jackson, you just learning lick to lick. you don't know, you don't have any context. And I was like, okay. And so I had to learn the whole solo because there were linking things there that I need or development going there. Because if I was left to my own recognizance, I'd just be playing from lick to lick that I thought was killing. And he's like, man, there's no way you could play like that. It's not sustainable, first of all. And also, that's not how music and everything is developed. You have to develop an art to your playing. And then it takes a good teacher to say, okay, you have exhausted your Oscar Peterson stuff. It's time. Have you ever checked out Lenny Tristano? I was like, I never heard of Lenny Tristano before. Or have you heard of Bill Evans? He's different. Not that you're going to sound like a clone, but you get exposed to these people who develop their own sounds. So you then therefore can develop your own sound. And a lot of people say I sound like McCoy Tyner. I love McCoy Tyner. There's no way I could sound exactly like McCoy Tyner and Kenny Kirkman, who I love. But everybody that I know talk to me, they say, oh, that's Tyrone playing. I know Tyrone's playing. And that's what I have. And Audrey Shakira told me something. I called her last week and she said, if you are not your favorite piano player or saxophone player or vocalist, then quit.
Mm.
It was like, dude, I was like, Herbie and Kenny Kirkland's been my favorite. I need to be my favorite piano player. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the important thing is, hey, all this should be a goal for you to synthesize and develop your own sound. We have to go through the rigors of copying and learning what we like. But at some point, you should be in the back of your head, I don't want to bite off. I mean, you said it. Early Wayne Shorter sounded like Train. You could hear it, you know? And at some point, Wayne said, nah, I'm going to develop. And nobody sounds like Wayne Shorter, you know?
Right.
So, you know, that I think that should be the goal. Use your content creation to help you figure out what's going on. But if you're going to use, per se, Bloom's taxonomy as a litmus, then the goal should be past application. The goal should be for synthesis and for you creating your own style, creation, you know, development.
Right.
And I like this comment right here from David Fraser. Start writing your own material and music. Dedicate yourself to your sound. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. I feel like that's a great way to find out who you really are. You write your stop playing other people's stuff. Let's see what you got. And it's gonna be
like Chris Burroughs, though. That's the thing. Nobody sounds like you, right?
I still don't even know what I'm still working on that. You know what I mean? Honestly, I just work on it every day, you know, but it's easy to get away from that too, man, because you can fall into traps of trying to sound like other people when you don't need to. I don't know if you guys have ever kind of gone through that phase where somebody really catches your ear and all of a sudden you're like, man, I need to sound like that. That cat's killing. I start working on like, no. That's
and
not
I think people ask for it nowadays.
That's an easy trap to
like,
fall into.
What are you checking out now? Where's, you know, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm checking out stuff, but my goal is not to sound like them.
Yeah, it's a you know, it's a lifelong journey. But to piggyback off of your karate analogy,
that's right.
This movie right here.
Enter the Dragon.
Right. One of the best lines in that movie is when Bruce Lee, when the cat walks out, he's about to fight Bruce Lee, and he throws up a board and he breaks it. And Bruce Lee says, "Boards don't hit back."
Right.
So with that right there, I think we can call it a night because boards don't hit back.
That's right.
Boards don't hit back.
Right.
So
you're right.
So great show, guys. Everybody, great comments. We got one more photo that was sent in to us.
Okay.
Brian, did you upload this one? We have the great JL, the Don, John Lematina, with the full head of hair. So we got to show this before.
Hey, let me put this on big screen before you show it. All right, open that joint up. Okay, there we go.
Before we head out. So as soon as B Fail gets that going. Oh!
Man, look like his son is disowning him. Dad, get this picture off, man.
Look at the curly locks, man.
Bro, JL look no nonsense in this picture, bro.
Got the chest hair showing too, man, with the low V.
He look like he ready to go to IRS right now, bro. Lematina, man.
Oh man.
He kind of pass right there, man. Could he go down to New Orleans and could he get some love from the brothers?
He can hang out with David Tarkanowski and that.
That's dude from Jeopardy.
Oh, Alex Trebek?
Yeah, early Alex Trebek.
Wow. And the handlebar mustache.
All right, thanks, Lematina, for bringing that in, bro.
Man,
I'm going to exit the full screen on that one, bro.
I might have to put that on my bass drum, bro. Put that get a a photo made for the bass drum cover, bro, put that right there, man.
Dave Frazier, you got to give us one of the band pictures. I lost my stuff in Katrina, bro. Dave, when you get a chance, if you got a picture next week, send it in, bro. And when I had hair, I was a young whippersnapper in your band.
Oh, I got to see that because I ain't seen I seen a little hair. I ain't seen a lot of hair.
Oh man, yeah.
All right, guys. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Thanks for everybody in the chat. We had some great interaction, great comments. I guess we'll put this in the subreddit. See if it gets some traction here.
Whoa.
No. Lava High coming with the shots.
Your time is coming, my dear. Your time is coming.
Shots. Coming with
yes, I had a fro. What's up?
But Lava High sport the big hair out of nowhere, bro. It's like I'm like, wait a minute, where all that come from? It's just like
right.
I'm like, wait a second. Wait a second.
Don't have us pull that picture up of Daryl again.
Oh man. Oh, I forgot that. I got you seen the one with me with the curl, right? The dry with the curl.
That is the best one. We got to bring that one.
Oh, that's the best, man. I had the Miami Vice tuxedo going to prom. Bro.
Man.
Oh
man. I could just never get the curl right, man. I could never get it right. I tried everything. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Yes,
and we got one more show for everybody on Facebook and all that stuff. And then June, we are going to be moving exclusively to YouTube. I thought we had another. Oh, that's it. Okay. Anybody else got anything? Is that it? Are we done?
No, good show. We all wearing black too.
Young musicians, we do have a date, July 13th for our session. We will give you guys more information about that. Told a few people last night. But July 13th down at the what's the name of the theater, dude? Academy
Theater in Hapeville.
Academy Theater in Hapeville.
Right
maybe we can get a sax player from Savannah area, man. Come down and do something with us, man.
Food,
you know.
Bro.
Oh yeah, that goes without saying.
Just fill up your car so you don't have to stop at the gas station.
Oh no, no more of that. Hapeville is okay. Hapeville is all right.
Hapeville is okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Right.
Well, as far as I know.
No, it's good to get that new Chick-fil-A right there, so you good.
Decatur, see you later.
I think you done with Decatur, ain't you? You done with that, man.
Oh gosh. Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Pray.
All right, guys. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. And we will see you all next week. Peace.